Right, so the manager merry-go-round continues. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is out. I've got two questions for you both, being Man United fans. Now, obviously, we talk an awful lot of Man United during this, but we can't really sort of miss out from this particular subject. Although there's a lot of managers going, so I kind of want to talk about managers in general. But for you guys, either one of you can go first, because I'm asking the question, so I can't go first. Do you think that this was a successful period for management under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
You want to take this, Mark?
Yeah. No. But it's not disastrous. Like, the bare minimum he was brought in to do was rebuild, and he did that. So in terms of like his achievements, he ticked off the base achievement. Ideally, he would have won some stuff during that time, or he just, I don't know, set the team up in a better space. So like that would either be getting a winning mentality, or getting a style of play, or just having some identity, and that he missed. So
sorry, can I just stop you there? Do you not think that's yet to be seen? Do you not think whoever takes over next, either Carrick or better, we can only really know once they've taken over in terms of that foundation?
Well, yes and no. So like he's got rid of some of the what seemed like toxic players and
Deadwood
players. Yeah, Deadwood players who were there only seemingly for money.
Cancers,
yeah. And then
so
he seems like
basically.
he's got, he seemed like he got rid of a lot of those players. He reduced the average age, despite a Ronaldo sort of bringing that back up. But he sort of built a young team again. So in terms of what he was expected, I'd say he ticked off what any reasonable person would say. What he was lacking was that next step. So I don't want to sound like Gary Neville here, but like what is Man United's style? What do they want to do? How do they play? What are they trying to achieve?
If you want to sound like Neville, you've got to say at this moment in time.
Yeah. So I feel like Man United got the most scrutiny over the last 2 years because BT and Sky just seem to be full of ex-United players. So
I mean, I don't know, like I've been saying it about Gary Neville. He's really become quite insufferable with it all, and even Roy Keane, and they're kind of just like, I get it. Man United is the biggest club, arguably in the world, certainly in the Premier League. So they're always going to get a lot of focus on them. But the amount of scrutiny in terms of what Sky Sports have done with Roy Keane and Gary Neville is probably, maybe it's like us. I mean, we talk about Man United all the time. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah, but I thought there was a good comparison this weekend with Arsenal, who got battered by Liverpool. And Arsenal got praised off the pitch by Sky Sports. They were like, well, they're not there yet, but we can see what Arsenal are doing. We can see their praise. And like, we didn't expect Arsenal to beat Liverpool. Well done, Arsenal, for going out there and trying. And it was like...
You think the expectations for Man United should be the same as Arsenal right now? I mean, that's
no, but I think
I wouldn't wish that on you or anyone.
No, but Arsenal are a big club. Like, there's no denying it. And it's like, there was never a period where Man United under Ole was given he's rebuilding. Even his first season, every time he had a little bad patch, he would manage to pull out a win out of the bag. And like, every time there was a bad patch, he got like extra scrutiny, which
I actually thought Gary Neville had started doing that like the last 2 or 3 weeks. I feel like the last few weeks he just kept going, I'm not going to dig into him. And maybe kind of being a bit more relaxed. I don't know if he saw it coming and was just trying to be nice at the back end.
Yeah, I think everyone did. I think the realization this season that Ole had gone as far as he could. And the problem is, once you realize that, you might as well act quickly, isn't it? It's like, what are you trying to achieve if you're just leaving someone who you think it's not going to get any better from here? And in fact, the last few weeks it got worse. Like, I watched the first half against Watford and I had to turn it off. I was just so annoyed. I couldn't watch the second half. And it was like, even if we came back to win that game, I still would have been annoyed, because it's like we end up it feels like every single match we had to go behind before players even bothered trying. And it was like, there's only so many times you can come from behind to win. And as a one-off, it's exciting, but as a regular occurrence, it just gets frustrating. And at halftime, I turned off, and I've like, I don't do that very often. I was just like, I can't watch this. So,
and successful, unsuccessful, Danny.
Well,
somewhere in between.
I think you can break Solskjaer's reign into 3 sections, into 3 periods, because you've got the interim.
Let me get a pen and paper here. Go.
No, but in simple terms, you've got the interim period where he first came in, and the goal was literally, I mean, didn't matter what he did, it'd have been good, because you were coming from such a black cloud of Mourinho and his problems with Pogba and Luke Shaw and you name it, and issues with the club and playing style and whatever. Basically, whoever came in could have done a half decent job, but actually he did probably better than everyone expected. And that interim period, I remember the game against PSG and those results, started getting some really good results, got us back into the top 4, and you were like, okay, he's deserved actually the chance. When he got given the full-time contract, everyone went, yeah, you know what? He's earned that. He's deserved that, because he's actually done a pretty good job. There's a feel-good factor back. He's bringing us through some youth. I think the next period is then all the way up until the summer just gone. And I think through that period, there were ups and downs. And I remember middle of the second year, there was massive calls for him to go. We went on a horrible streak. But then it was after COVID, but then the whole COVID stuff happened and we ended up on this amazing streak. He ended up finishing second. So we got through that. And I think we got all the way through to the summer. And I think the summer was a real key turning point, because that in July, they gave him a 3-year contract, 4-year contract, something big. And at that point, I think the club went, no, this is our guy. We think he can take us to the next level. We think he's the guy to bring results, and we're going to spend big. They went and spent, they bought Varane, they bought Sancho, they brought Ronaldo in. Like, this is the guy. And I think that, unfortunately, is a mistake, because I think we all know, we've been saying it for God knows how long. We all know Ollie was great at what he did. He was right for that job. Is he an elite tactician? Is he an elite manager up there with the Tuchels and the Klopps and the Guardiolas? Of course he's not. He hasn't got the experience to be. He's probably just not, was never that kind of manager anyway. I think that was a mistake. And so there was a chance this would always come. And then you get, a few weeks back, which we were sat here in one of our pods a while back before the Atlanta games, for the Liverpool and City games. We were saying, look, this is make or break for Ollie, because if we lose these, they have to get rid of him because we need to save the season. And when we lost that 5-0 against Liverpool, for United to come out and back him and say, we still think he's the right guy to the end of the season, I think that's where things broke down, because you go, actually, no, that was the moment where we could see the Atlanta game was a mess. The Liverpool game was a mess. The City game was a mess. He should have been going already. And so this Watford thing has been coming. It was probably the worst performance I've seen in years. Literally, I watched that game, and it was, as Mark said, it was from moment one when Bruno Fernandes did that sort of miss kick in the first 2 minutes, and they got the penalty, and the mess with the penalty. I mean, it was a mess. But that was coming. I think that was the mistake in the summer. And that's because United have no plan. And my worry, I'm really, really worried, because it's the same problem we've had for years now, is it doesn't matter what manager you put in that position. I don't know how successful they can be when you don't fix the problem at the director of football level, at the ownership level, at that. I know Ed Woodward's going, but they've just signed him back up for 2 years as a full-time consultant or something. He's not really going. He's just getting paid more money. So I do really worry for whoever comes in, even if they're brilliant. I don't know, with that environment that they've built at United, I don't know how you can create a successful dynasty like they have at Liverpool and City and everywhere else until they fix that.
Yeah, well, that's what's kind of got me here a bit, because we could talk about it a bit when I want to talk about kind of managers in general. I was quite ardent that I didn't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was going to go, and the main reason for that was because I didn't think that they had a plan, or they have a plan to do it. And clearly, it's always weird when it's like after international break, first game gone. You're like, why didn't you just do it at the start? And then maybe you've got a couple of weeks to kind of address some issues, or change the manager, or find someone. It's such a weird time. 2 days before massive game tomorrow.
Huge, absolutely huge.
It's a pivotal. So you don't want to change things up unless you've got someone in the wings. It doesn't seem like they do. Even if they do, what can they really do now to improve the squad so much so that it's going to salvage your season? So I thought that Man United were, I don't know, smart enough or savvy enough. Maybe this is just something that's going on in general, but not to get rid of him in this moment, because I think he could still at least steady the ship until the end of the season. I don't think, bad result against Liverpool. Arsenal proved that not, more than one team is capable of looking dumb in front of Liverpool. this game against Watford. Now, one question I do want to put to you guys is that do you think that the injury time goals is what did it for him? Like 2-1 away at Watford.
By half time, we should have been 3 or 4 down. I mean, it was atrocious. It was so.
I'm like 2-1 against Watford away from home. You can have a result like that. Maybe the performance wasn't the best, but like no. All right, I was just thinking. I was like, imagine him thinking, I'm not in a bad place, and then you get 2 90+ minute goals. It just nothing.
Yeah, its own shit. It probably did affect United, and the thing. As Danny said about United not having a plan, is I actually think up until about mid-August or whenever they had a plan. And like Paul Merson did a column today on Ronaldo basically ruined the plan. Like
is Paul Merson becoming just like the hot take artist? He's just coming out with some of the most outlandish stuff lately that's just there just to get headlines. Because every time I see him, the headline's a bit nonsense.
But essentially what he's saying is United chased Sancho for 2 summers, got Sancho and got Varane, and then deadline day got Ronaldo. From what it seemed like, Ronaldo just said, I want to leave Juventus. And then it was like, oh, we've got our plan. We've got, essentially we've got Rashford, Greenwoods. We'll have Cavani there for some games. And then now we've got Sancho. So we've got 3 young players who can learn from Cavani. And then Ronaldo came available deadline day. And it was like, we just can't afford to say no to this.
Can you pay them?
No, but then what I think it does is it threw the plan up, because I think the team has been suffering. And like, I think there's a few players you can't play together. And Ronaldo and Pogba's 2 of them.
And Bruno.
And he's chose
the same Bruno as well.
Yeah. And he's chose that Pogba will be that scapegoat, maybe because Pogba's leaving or looks like he might leave, whatever.
He's now for a year, and he's out for like 6 months, something. Pogba, I think.
Yeah, and it's always funny when a player's out and you're like, but
that's convenient.
You weren't even playing.
We'll see when the new manager comes in if he is out or not. But he's out.
It'll be when they start listing stuff as the season goes on, I'll be like, oh, all the injuries, Pogba, Van der Beek, and probably players that weren't even playing. You're like, they're not the reason why you're going to continue to lose.
No, after I can't remember, it was the Liverpool game. He said, "Oh, we're going to see some big changes," and we didn't. We still saw the same team. Like that team that started against Watford is like a predictable lineup, and I think the plan did go out the window a little bit.
Who else is there?
What, in the squad?
Yeah.
Well, Van der Beek could have started. He looked great when he came on. He's the only player that looked half decent, to be fair. The one thing United have is an unbelievable squad of players. They really do. Martial, Van der Beek, there's players that just haven't had a look in at the moment. That if they had a bit of confidence and were playing well.
And that's it. They haven't even had much of a look in. It's like they get 5 minutes here and there, and you're like,
Lingard. Look at Lingard.
That's what's been the struggle. It's not like who was it? It was like when Mourinho played someone and then was like, look, see, I told you he was bad. Which player? He did that to a United player. And
I thought that was at Spurs, right? When he said that?
I think it might have been Spurs, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that with
that's a Mourinho. He does that everywhere.
Yeah, but at least he'd give the guy 90 minutes and be like, look, see, I told you he was no good. And but like, they'll be like,
he did that with Callum Hudson-Odoi at Chelsea, I remember, when he was younger as well.
I think that the Ronaldo thing was really like, going into it, you kind of think, all right, it can't be a bad signing. It's not going to be Ronaldo of old. Watching him playing at Man United side, I feel like he's such a drain on the team.
Oh,
really do. Like it really takes away from what the squad's trying to do. He just doesn't. He's got zero effort in trying to close anyone down, but he's also not making a lot of runs. I don't think he makes himself available enough for players to kind of feed the ball into. Yeah, he can still strike a fucking ball. He's still amazing at it. But he's not even getting himself in a position where he can take a shot. And I don't even know what he expects. I really don't like what he's done since he's been.
I don't know. And it's so easy to use Ronaldo as a scapegoat. And, I was reading a thing this morning.
He's going to go to Pogba.
Well, or one or the other. It depends if you're Souness or not. But I mean, they were saying about how Ronaldo has had 5 managers in 3 seasons now. And they were saying, Allegri had this 5-6 year stable thing. Ronaldo comes in, all of a sudden he's gone. Then Pirlo's gone. Then he comes in to United now, and Ollie's had this 3 years. Now he's gone. And they're saying, managers don't know what to do with him. You can't not play him. You can't not have him. He's so good. But what do you do with him? I don't know if I buy that. I think he's an easy scapegoat. And I think.
So hold on, Dan. So when you watch him play for Man United, you're pleased with his performance.
But the problem with Man United isn't just that. So we played for years with Lukaku, where he wasn't tactically told really what to do, and all right, he made runs and he ran out, but he wasn't that useful. He didn't hold the ball up well. We've played with players that haven't been great. We played with Ibrahimovic, and we won the European Cup with him, and got to an FA Cup final with him, and he had similar issues in that the ball had to go through him. He didn't make right. There were issues, but we were able to win games and play to use him tactically. The problems are bigger with United. One, because of Ollie's tactics defensively, it's just a mess. And when De Gea comes out and says we just don't know what to do with and without the ball, you're like, come on.
De Gea can be quiet. De Gea can be quiet a bit, I think, because he's nowhere close to being a goalkeeper.
Whoever it is, right? It's clear when players start. You can see they don't know what to do. They tactically aren't smart. They aren't working together. They're not pressuring off the ball. The running stats, United are the worst in the league. So fitness-wise, they're horrible.
But Dan, I mean, you look at running stats. What do you think that is? You think that's managers, or is that players just not feeling motivated enough to do it?
But you tell me, you look at Conte.
What do you make of Bruno at the end of the Watford game? What do you make of Bruno at the end of the Watford game? Telling the crowd to be quiet and saying, no, it's the players' fault, it's not the manager's fault. I mean, if you've still got players that are going to stand for you, I don't know how many of the players would have done that except for Bruno, but if you've got one of them at least, and you assume there might be a few others standing for you in moments like this and say, no, you need to put the blame on us.
He's a nice guy and they like him. But this is a team full of what should be superstars, egomaniacs, earning millions of pounds, most of them in their early 20s. This is a team that needs order. This is a team that needs telling them what to do. And this is a team that needs respect. And I don't think your best mate or your friend, they know they're safe, they know they're fine. I just think they need someone to come in with a bit of stature, to go in and go, what the fuck? Look at you guys. Conte came in and said the first game, he was like, half of them are overweight and the other half can't run. It's like, this is a joke. And you're like, yeah, that's true. They are. So sort it out.
Yeah, I do think United lack someone who understands the full 90-minute tempo of the game. I think.
What do you mean by player or manager?
A player. Someone who knows when you should be keeping the ball, when you should, you watch Liverpool and it's how Jordan Henderson still plays for one of the best Premier League teams. It's because his football IQ is so good.
Declan Rice, Declan Rice, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you watch United and Bruno has been terrible. And one reason he's been terrible is he doesn't recognise when United are under the cosh. And you'll be like, we want Bruno to take risks. He should be the one trying the flicks and the one-time passes. But you're like, not when we haven't had the ball for 10 minutes. When we haven't had the ball for 10 minutes, play the simple pass to the right back, play that back, get a couple minutes where you can get your shape back. But no one seems to recognise that. Fred tries, but he hasn't got it. McTominay, he's got to learn it. He doesn't seem to have it. Matic is the only one I would say who is, and he's the only one, but he's just too old now.
And he's not mobile enough to play and to cope with what's needed in that midfield when you've got Ronaldo, Bruno, Sancho, everyone running forward. He's not mobile enough.
Is this Maguire? The Maguire of late, is this what Maguire is, or is he just underperforming?
No, this is massively underperforming. Look at Maguire for England. You look at Maguire for United in the last 2 years. Take out this year, Maguire's been up there as one of the best.
It's a shame Man United can't play San Marino. Otherwise, Maguire would look great.
He's been great. He was in the team of the season last year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's obviously something that's wrong in terms of the team. I don't know if it's their setup. I don't know if they're unmotivated. I don't know if they're just disillusioned now because they're quality players. But Shaw's underperforming, Maguire's underperforming, Pogba's underperforming at times. Bruno is all their star players, the ones that you look to perform well, just aren't. And Maguire's celebration for England clearly shows that they were watching Sky Sports after the game.
Yeah, and they're frustrated.
Yeah. It's well, hopefully it will work out for them now because I think, it's easy for us. We've seen that clip of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talking about it, his time there, which is lovely and probably something unique to him rather than kind of like the norm of managers. And it's easy to kind of look at that and think, oh, do you know what? He's all right. But there's clearly something that needs changing. He's probably the scapegoat rather than, like you said, Dan, some of the more kind of, I don't know, systemic, not to use that word too loosely, within Man United.
The massive systemic problem in the hierarchy of that club.
It doesn't really matter. Like it's almost like who's gonna be able to come in with the ability and the gravitas at this point.
Well, they've come out and said they want an interim manager. So
it's just a joke in itself. What Man United? You've still got a chance of getting top four. You've still got a chance of winning some trophies. Don't go.
What? I don't believe all the news, but by the sounds of it, Poch wants the United job. And I'm like, if he's willing to walk out of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe to come manage Rashford, then like Greenwood, and you're like, you got the best front three in the world. If you're willing to leave that to come manage us, I will welcome you, because that is at the moment, like you look at that PSG team, that's football manager dream, isn't it? It's like,
I won't go into potential managers for Man United because there's going to be names flying around.
Steve Bruce is flying around this season. I'm laughing at that.
I saw a tweet saying, I don't care how old Steve Bruce is, he's available and he'll be better than Maguire at the back. It is bad when Maguire gets sent off, and as your own fan, you're like, after his celebration for England and stuff, when he got sent off, I was a bit like, serves you right. You like, it is bad when you feel that way about one of your own players, and you're like, you shouldn't. If you're going to do that celebration, back it up with a couple of weeks of good performances.
Yeah, and you know what United have got next? What Carrick's got? Chelsea away with no Varane and no Maguire.
Yeah. Do you guys find it weird when the number 2 takes over? Like, as if Carrick has been there the whole time. Like, oh, what's Ollie doing this for? Why is Ollie playing this way? Why is Ollie doing that? All right, now's my chance. I'm drastically tactically.
Well, I say that, right? Duncan Ferguson fucking nailed that job. He obviously wasn't allowed to say a word, and then when he took that job, he transformed the Everton team for like 8 weeks and was unbelievable. So
and I don't know, like you extrapolate that. I know at least in my current job, hopefully no one from there is listening, but my manager previously was terrible. And as soon as they went off for three months paid leave, and I was acting up, I couldn't change more stuff quicker. Like I was just waiting for them to go, and then they were made redundant 2 months later. I mean, that's what happened. So you just sit there and you wait for your opportunity, especially if you're working under someone, because you've all, outside of Danny, you've all got to take like
but I would
jobs from other people. So you're just waiting for your turn basically, and then you can start implementing some changes.
Yeah, but Solskjaer didn't. I would say, without any knowing this at all, but just from an outside point of view, I would imagine Solskjaer takes on board quite a bit what his backroom team say. He often mentions them. The bit he teared up in the interview was actually talking about Carrick.
He talked about him, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like,
jokes aside,
I'd be surprised if he didn't listen to him at all.
I think like it just happens. I think that's why, and I want to talk about managers in general. I think this is because what is it that teams expect? They get rid of their manager because it seems like you can't get rid of the players because that's a different kind of cost, isn't it? That works towards like what your financial fair play. It's still going to be done in your books. You can't get rid of you can't get rid of like general managers in general because there's not really going to be anything that they can change. The only ones that you can replace are managers, right?
Well, the head coach, they just as they're now known, the head coach.
Or head coach or managers or whatever it is that they've done. I mean, what are we up to now? 6 managers being let go? Is that 6 or 7 now in the Premier League this season?
And if you look at the history of them, they were brought in to be scapegoats, and they still are today. There's talk of Leicester getting rid of Brendan Rodgers. 3 weeks ago, he was seen as Man United's
answer, yeah.
3 weeks later, he's suddenly a bad manager who's now reached capacity with Leicester, and you're like.
But this is what I don't get about. It feels like it's been this slow build up for season after season after season. This year, it's ridiculous how many managers are just getting let go. For what reason? I really don't have any idea because, again, what do these teams expect from the players that they have, from the setup that they've got? Are they just looking to appease the fans? Because I think at that point, it's like, all right, guys, we're making some moves here. We're making some changes just so we can get the fans on side. I can't see, again, with Man United, I was just so adamant that they had no plan. So how could they get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Same thing with Newcastle to a degree. Although bringing in Eddie Howe, I like Eddie Howe, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing what he does there. You got
But
Dean
that's a
Smith.
really
Hold
good
on. You got Dean Smith that goes from Aston Villa and literally like he's literally driving on his way home and does a U-turn or whatever, and he goes straight to Norwich. He's like, all right, let me get a Premier in. I'm in there.
Yeah.
What is going on? What is it that you think that teams are doing or what they expect? And do you even think this is a good or bad thing? Do you think about it at all in terms of how quickly these
change
managers
is
go?
needed, though. Sometimes you need change. Like sometimes things come to their natural
But
conclusion.
Dan, the
Yeah.
amount of teams that are committing these what I think is an offence to football by changing these
Yeah.
managers, because I don't know what you expect.
I think it makes it hard to really back your manager, like, because
In
as
what respect?
we both support teams which had a manager for a long time, and then that manager becomes part of your club. You like, there's talk of Wenger should get a statue. Like, you can no longer be like that. You just got to see him as a short-term asset.
They're a
It's
head
like-
coach. They're not a manager.
and you got to be prepared that someone who manages your team could soon be managing your rival. Like, there's less loyalty in managers than there will be in players. So you can't I can't see Klopp going to a Liverpool rival.
No.
That's kind of an exception.
You don't know that. I mean, you could have said that about Rafa Benitez and look at him.
Yeah,
Not straight away, maybe.
What an arsehole.
Yeah.
Yeah, not straight away,
Hey.
maybe, but maybe some seasons down the
Yeah,
line.
maybe. Yeah, and that's it. You can't look at
Mourinho
managers the same way. And it's because and it's because the amount of fans that also turn on the manager. So I don't hate on
Are they
managers
being bred?
necessarily.
Are fans being bred to turn on their managers because of the way that they've been treated?
I think so. I think
I mean,
it's
if
an
Sean
easy
Dyche was
way
at,
out. isn't
if
it?
Burnley was any other club, Sean Dyche was at any other club, he would have been gone a long time ago. But Burnley know who they are. They're choosing to stick with him because their directive is just literally just to stay in the Premier League as long as possible. How is it that a Norwich feel like they're above what they're doing and they're trying to
Hold on.
They change
To
the
be
manager
fair to
straight
Norwich,
away?
to be fair to Norwich, they stuck with Farker when he took them up, and then when he took them back down, and then he brought them back up. And to be fair, they stuck with him for long enough. And when Farker first came to Norwich, no one had heard of him, and he had a really bad start. And they stuck with him and said, "No, this is our guy. It's going to work out." They're terrible, so they got relegated. Like, I know it seems harsh now. You're like, well, hold on, you're only a quarter of the way through the season, and suddenly you're firing him. But the guy had 4 years. He did well and probably came to the end of a cycle. It's probably time to rebuild the team. They're probably looking at it going, look, we need to move some players on. We want to invest in the team. We don't think this guy's going to be here for the long term. So now's the time to change. And you know, if we can get a manager bounce at that, even better. And then, oh, look, and they were all ready to sign Lampard. And then, oh, look, what's his name? Just been fired from Aston Villa. He's a way better manager. Yeah, let's get him in because he also knows the championship. And so if we need to get out of that, he can get us out of that. So I think
the way that managers are getting dealt with in general, you're pretty okay with.
I think that's football, and I think they know it. They get paid the big bucks because
I'm not saying I feel bad for them.
They get paid out.
Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I feel bad for them. I'm just wondering if this is conducive for any football club to say, all right, this is a good thing for us.
So do you know what I would look? I know Klopp is a different breed, right? But you look at Liverpool, and I've forgotten the guy's name who's stepping down this year, who's their director of football, who's been unbelievable for them, and he's oversaw buying Salah and buying everyone and whatever else. And they've got his deputy guy who's going to be stepping in. Now I know they've got Klopp, but if they didn't have Klopp, then they need to go and get another coach, or Klopp left tomorrow. Regardless of who he is and whatever, they went and got another good coach. You'd still back the board and the way the structure of Liverpool and the people they've got in place above him, their director of football, their technical director, their ownership. They know how to run a club. They know how to run sports franchises. They've got people who understand football. They know how to go and hire. There's a lot of clubs that don't have that. And so that's why when you see this sudden change at United or Spurs, great example, who also don't really have that. They didn't quite nailed that. So even though they're a bit better prepared and they let go of Nuno because Conte is available, or they let go of Poch because Mourinho is available, whatever. So they at least know what they're doing in that sense. They don't have the structure above it to be able to always still maintain what they are. And I think that's what you need, because coaches now, head coaches, that's what you're hiring. And a coach can come and go. You're not hiring managers. You need directors of football, technical directors. You need everyone else to run the commercial, everything else. It's just too big. It's too big businesses. Too important. You can't have an Alex Ferguson running the club like he did 20 years ago. It's just not how football works. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these clubs. They don't have that structure yet. They're not set up.
There's something. I don't know why. This is something really unsettling about it all to me.
That's because we're not used to it, because we've gone through the Premier League history of the last 20 years of the manager is the manager. But now, imagine it's the defensive coach, or imagine it's the whatever, right? If they come and go, we don't know. They just come and go, but they might be vital and key to the way that they play, but they come and go and we don't even hear about it. This is now just the head coach that's coming and going.
What do you reckon about Eddie Howe then, Mark? Good move, bad move?
I liked Howe at Bournemouth. What did he have? 4 years in the Premier League, and the only time he looked like getting relegated was the year they did. But for 3-4 years, they improved every season. So
this is like a test as a bigger club for a minute.
Yeah.
For now, yeah. The thing is, Newcastle, if you get your buy-in with the fans early, they'll back the manager. Like they showed, Steve Bruce and Rafa Benitez are almost identical in their stats, like goals scored, goals conceded, games won. There's almost no difference. But if you ask the Newcastle fan, one's the Messiah and one's the worst thing that's ever happened to the club. And it's like, it's
one's
funny
a very naughty boy.
Yeah. And so branding matters a lot. And Eddie Howe has always held his brand quite well. Like, I think the fact he didn't just rush into any old team was a sign that he valued his brand. So I think he will get some chances there. And I think it'll work out right.
I think it's a really shrewd move, actually, because everyone was saying, "Oh, Emery, it's done. Emery's in," and I remember I kept looking at it thinking, Emery doesn't last more than 18 months there. He can't speak the language. He's not going to know. He doesn't understand Newcastle.
Imagine him and Newcastle trying to understand each other.
I know we joke, but genuinely, there's that. But also, like, he didn't quite have the time he needed at Arsenal. And he's done great on the continent. He's done great in Europe. This isn't going to be Newcastle in the Europa League for the next few years. Like, it's just not. Emery, for me, was not the right decision. I thought if they were going down that route, I was worried for them. I was thinking, here we go, some new owners, just a big-name European manager that they think will do a great job. They don't know what they're doing. And then when I heard about Howe, I was like, you know what? Actually, fair enough. That is actually a pretty shrewd move, because it could go wrong. And if it does, they've at least tried to do the right thing, which is bring in a good young.
How would stick with them? That's one of the big things.
Yeah,
if they get relegated, you're not going to see Emery in the Championship.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's why I think that gives me some hope for Newcastle fans, that although it might not be the big name they wanted, it's not the Conte and whoever that they really thought they were going to get all of a sudden because they're now a Big Six team. But I think it's the right decision.
Well, this is one of those ones where it's like we as a club with this manager can hopefully grow together, because how, I think deserving of a chance to work at a club that's Premier League bound. Big club, Bournemouth, what they're seating, like 10,000 a week or something. It's so small. Newcastle is a big club in the waiting, wants to kind of relive their glory days of actually being a team that could hopefully contend for top 4, top 6. I don't know if Howe's going to get them there, but he's certainly going to try and get them off relegation, which Newcastle shouldn't be batting for relegation year in that. Yeah, and he's got players that he's familiar with in Wilson,
Fraser, and
hopefully,
basically the whole Bournemouth team.
It's funny because at Bournemouth, I always felt like the players he had or got for cheap were the ones that did really well, and everyone he spent big money on was a flop. And it's like, so that'll be interesting once he gets the money, who he brings in.
Yeah, if he gets them, but I think he just needs to just focus on actually just trying to play football. Get the team performing well. They've got good players. I mean, they've got really, really good players, and just a bit more organisation. Will you be able to manage a club of that size? Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. Out of all the kind of new managers and stuff, I'm looking. I've always thought it deserves a big club.
Did you see the news today about Southgate talking to managers?
Hey, he got signed for 2 years extension on top of that. Are you sure? I heard on the radio 2 years today.
I read 4.
Okay.
Is it not 4 years from now? So 2 years extension.
Yeah, it was 2 years extension. 2 years left. Yeah, and
4 more years. I'm surprised.
Yeah, he's really on the edge of Southgate, isn't he?
Mark, sorry, Dan. It's like you're surprised by it. I think managers will always get extended because they know they can they can be cut early. You know,
But no,
it's
but
dangerous.
this is my point. Well, I'm not surprised by Southgate. Of course, he's going to sign it. Of course, he's going to take it. I'm surprised by the FA. The FA is not a
That's
Man
the same
United
thing.
and Liverpool. The FA is not a multi-billion-pound revenue engine. The FA is broke. Like the FA had to make half their staff redundant last year because they haven't got any money. This isn't a company that has billions of revenue coming in. It can just afford to have managers come through the door left, right, and centre. This is I know there's no need to sign.
That's what I
Wait
found.
for the World Cup.
Yeah, if they were a bit,
This year.
if they're a bit savvy, there is not a queue of clubs coming in for Southgate.
Exactly.
There was no need really to do it, other than just to show him a bit of loyalty for doing well.
And you know what?
Or did they think there's no one in line afterwards? Maybe. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Know what?
But you
It's what
normally
talking
lock
about.
players and stuff in because you think, all right, someone's going to come in. If a Newcastle came in for Southgate, at least they can get some compensation if he's on a longer contract. But unfortunately, no matter how well Southgate does, like he's gonna struggle. Yeah, he's gonna struggle. Talking about Eddie Howe's got a good brand. Southgate's almost like the opposite. I feel like even if he wins the World Cup, it will probably even harm him even more.
Really?
Like
Why? Do you not like Southgate?
I do, but I think he's got a
Southgate.
reputation of not being super like tactical. I think his brand's just off. I think no club would touch him. And
I completely agree. I
You
completely
think?
agree.
That's,
I
I
love
mean,
Southgate. Don't get me wrong, I love him. What he's done for England and for football. I remember a few years ago, before I didn't even want to watch England games. I literally hated it. It was so boring. I remember I once got tickets to an England game and I didn't want to go. I gave them away.
what did we watch?
I don't wanna watch
Macedonia, the 0-0 where Kevin Davis came on. It was,
and
it
you're
was
like,
bad, wasn't it? It was,
how bad can it get? But he came and transformed England, like absolutely. And we're talking about getting to finals and semi-finals of competitions. That's never happened in our lifetime.
yeah. We don't even worry about qualifying anymore.
No, exactly.
Like, qualifying's no longer even a.
I get it. I completely get it. He deserved it. But from the FA's point of view, be a bit smart and be a bit savvier. He's not going anywhere. No one's going to take him. He doesn't want to go. He loves England and he wants to go and win the World Cup. If we have a catastrophe next year in Qatar and go out in the group stages and don't win a single game, what do you do with your manager that's got 3 years left that's now going to get absolutely slated? What do you do?
they must be fine financially. They'll just get rid of him and get someone else. I mean,
That's what they're not. I mean, well, you said they must be fine financially. The FA are broke. They've got no money.
Yeah, and then it's also, as you say, who's on the horizon. Well, there are like we're talking about Eddie Howe, we're talking about Gerrard's
Graham
in the
Potter.
new job. They're in
I don't
2-3
think
years.
there's going
They
to be an
could,
English manager after Southgate.
I think it has to be.
I think Southgate brought some real class back. He's just basic.
You say
For
you
me,
say
I
foreigners are classless, Mark.
No, but I don't think they're the no, because it was Sam Allardyce before him who really hit rock bottom with it. But yeah, it was
Sam Allardyce, remember?
yeah. But like for me, I felt like both my international team and my club team have had basically the same manager, and Southgate is just like Ollie. Like he adds class. You want to see him do well. You know there's a ceiling, but you really hope like something breaks through it. And international football, that's probably works out better because it's not a long-term thing. You just need moments to win games. So
you need a culture. Like you need a better culture. It's hard to get much kind of tactical stuff in the amount of time that you have versus clubs. But if you look at just trying to build a good culture, which is I think Gareth Southgate really did. The amount of times you used to watch England and it was just so lackluster and there was no effort. It just looked, they'd beat Egypt, but it'd be a 2-0 win and it would look horrible. Whereas
but we win 10-0 and we're like, that was good fun actually. I enjoyed watching that game.
Yeah,
like exactly. He has been a little bit inconsistent.
Being postman, it's not too bad.
But he also did bring back the structure and said, okay, we want the under 21 players to have a route through and stuff, and little things like that matter a little.
I really like how he's handled Callum Hudson-Odoi actually, because did you see he refused to play in this international break because he was going to be put in the under 21s and he refused. He said, no, I don't want to play in the under 21s, and which is obviously ridiculous. He's an idiot. But I think it's because he looks at all the players he probably played with at youth level, who are all, the Sakas in the world, are all now in the first team, right? They're all playing regularly. Emil Smith-Rowe, all of them have gone above him, and he was probably the best player in the team at the time, all through the youth. But he's just not done his time. He's not got his head down. He's not done what they do. And I really like, Southgate came out and went, if you're not going to play for our under 21s, you're not going to play for our senior team, because this is how it works. And you can see the under 21 team that won the under 19s, under 21s coming through, the Calvert-Lewins, those lot, Foden's, they're still coming through and still playing and winning stuff with England, or nearly winning stuff with England. So
Yeah.
I think he's doing the right thing structurally. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about games as they are from the weekend, or should we do it through Results League?
Yeah, I can't remember what the Results League what we picked. I don't think I've got mine right.
Oh, I've got it right here. Well, this weekend was heaps and heaps of Premier League goals, which was good. Not good for both Results League or accumulators. I was so close to one really powerful one. Just didn't quite work out.
Oh, Mark, I didn't realise you voted for Gerrard to lose on his debut. Actually, Gerrard might not have even been manager when we picked that.
What do you mean you voted?
Yeah.
Where?
No, I did. I thought you either get the manager instant or they take a game or two to work out. So
fair enough. Well, to be fair, I went for the manager's going to have an impact straight away. Eddie Howe just didn't know he was going to have COVID and be at home.
Yeah, still though, a decent result. 3-3 with Brentford. Like,
is that a good result?
For your first game, I just think no, because I think that like you want a game that's fairly exciting. I don't think. Hopefully, Newcastle fans don't leave that game thinking, "Oh, this is a bunch of nonsense." Like, yeah, you want to get a result at home, but you know, seeing your team score 3 goals is always nice, even though they conceded 3 goals also. Brentford just up and down. What are you going to do? Palace as well, because like I don't think Palace would be happy with their 3-3, even though it's up against Burnley. It's like these teams struggle to score historically. Teams that are bottom of the half or lower, so to see them scoring is always.
I think your history of Palace is clouding that. If you look at Palace's last few results, Palace haven't struggled to score at all. They've been actually amazing under Vieira. No one expected. They've been scoring freely. Even Benteke's scoring goals. Like, what's going on?
No, that's what I'm saying. Though I'm like, even though they're scored, what's this? I'm looking at their results now. They've got heaps of draws. They're just scoring those. They're just conceding a lot. So I'm just saying that they'll be somewhat happy, probably not ecstatic. And the same thing with Newcastle's and stuff like that.
Dean Smith will be ecstatic. I mean, Norwich to come back from early 1-0 as well.
Timo Pukki, I mean, if he scores 15 goals a season, they'll be staying up all day long.
I have to say, I don't know if you saw. Did you see Che Adams' goal for Southampton? Did you see?
No, I can't remember.
I have to say, I don't know that there's any striker that can score in the league that can score goals like he can score. And I don't mean because he's that talented, but they're just so bizarre, some of the goals he scores. He's probably done 3 or 4 this season where he's like completely off balance and like toe pokes it and it like slams top corner, or where he's like got no space or nothing. Somehow he's bent it in a. And yeah, I don't know how you scored from there, but I feel like he does that so regularly, and he's the only guy I've seen that can do it. It's a really bizarre kind of player, Che Adams.
He just can't score one-on-ones, basically.
Yeah, he can't score an easy chance, but when he's surrounded by 3 players and he's like leaning the wrong way and suddenly bang top corner out of nowhere.
Just watching it now. Yeah, he's got like 2-3 players draped all over him. And he just
out of nowhere. You're like, what? How did you even do that? You watch the replay. You're like, I'm not quite sure how you had the power or angle or direction. But he's done that a few times this season. He did it for Scotland not long ago. So I was like, how does he do that? Such a weird goal scorer.
Yeah, good result for Norwich, and hopefully Dean Smith will be happy with that. I don't think they're going to stay up though.
No chance. No chance.
Arsenal. We'll talk about Arsenal if you like. Did anyone watch that? Fucking pathetic.
Some of it.
I actually missed the Arsenal game.
Good. Yeah, it was a terrible game. I mean, Arsenal were like good for about 20 minutes. And I was watching it at some friend's house who don't really watch football. And I was like, Liverpool were just waiting. They're just letting Arsenal see what they've got, let them play around a bit. And I think the problem with that was they gave Arsenal this idea that they can actually play. And this is what my biggest fear was of the game. We'll lose against Liverpool. Fine, that's great. You know, let's not get thumped, and I just didn't want to see like 4 or 5-0.
Yeah, but they were late goals. Like, I mean, the funny thing about it,
it was late goals. What about you telling me Man United didn't get thumped against Watford? They're late goals.
Man United should have been 4-0 down at half time. That's different to Arsenal shouldn't have been 4-0 down at half time. The funny thing is that, I mean, I only know from Match Today because I watched the highlights. That's all I watched of it. But they said that it was a completely flat and dead game for the first 40 minutes. And then that fight between Arteta and Klopp happened. All of a sudden, the stadium... Because what they said that Arsenal did really well, which is why they were praising them in the first half, is they shut Anfield up. They shut the game down.
I don't know. I watched the game in full, and I watched Match Today, and I didn't quite understand what they were talking about in respect to that. I was like, they didn't shut them up. They just didn't start. Liverpool were just waiting, and then decided, all right, let's just kick on here. Maybe the little argument had something to do with it. I have no idea.
Sky Sports made out that was the turning point. they were like,
Liverpool weren't in any danger. There was no jeopardy, and then they just started scoring. That was basically it.
yeah, and if anything, like Liverpool, it could have been more by the end. Like you say, late
I think
goals.
2 goals
Like the late,
Arsenal conceded themselves. They passed the ball straight to Jota, and he scores. And there was one other one as well. It's not like that's what pisses me off.
Finish from Jota, though.
It was, but I mean, it was literally he got the assist from Tavares. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, like, don't kill yourself. Just don't kill yourself, and that's what Arsenal do sometimes.
Look, you know, eight game winning streak or whatever it was for Arsenal. It's very tough to go to Anfield and beat Liverpool. It's very tough. Not many teams.
Can't go there thinking you can't go there beating tin cans for 8 games and then decide, all right, we're going to play the same way. You can't handle that pressure that Liverpool puts on you. They press so high into you, and if you haven't got the ability to receive that ball and pass it on, and there's no other players making themselves available, you're going to end up losing the ball in your own third and conceding goals, which
The
is what
funny
they
thing
do.
about this is we started the whole conversation about Ollie talking about there's no style of play, right? There's no structure. They don't do. Guardiola has it, Klopp has it. They all know what they're doing. They play the same way, whoever they're playing against. Guardiola and Klopp can do that because their teams are better than everyone else, basically. So they can constantly play their own game. And it's funny, we're talking about Arsenal, and you go, well, they beat tin can teams 8 games in a row playing the same way. Don't go to Liverpool and play that way. But if you're not expecting Arsenal to win the league, which you're not, because they're just not as good a team as some of those others yet, they haven't got the squads, then why shouldn't they just at least keep doing what they're doing? And if they're going to get thumped 4-5-0 by the best in the league at one point, okay, but if they can go on another 8 game winning streak now, playing that same way, why?
They haven't been on an 8 game winning streak.
Or whatever it is, 8 game unbeaten.
It's something like that. Yeah. It was something I know what you're talking about. Let's not get into particulars. Mark said earlier about the difference between Benitez and Bruce, right? Even though they've got the same record. Morale and fans being on your side is a big fucking deal for me. And I think for most people. So if you go into a game like this and you've got Arsenal fans have been so against Arteta for quite a while now. And there was starting to be some good feels with the team. You can tell the team are playing well and they're happy to play for Arsenal. The fans are on side. And then you have a game like this where you give away 2 goals and you're getting thumped by Liverpool. And we shouldn't win, but I think it's just important to try to keep games relatively close and keep the fans on side. You start losing 4-0 and then maybe next game we lose against Newcastle, who we shouldn't do. It just sets a bad, atmosphere. Now,
bogey team, aren't they? You've had a few.
This is what I'm saying. It's like it just makes things a little bit uncomfortable.
Early kick-off as well. Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think the fans would expect you to play above board team and beat Liverpool. Just don't get thumped. But they did it, so there you go.
You're such an Arsenal fan.
Well, I mean, fuck's sake, maybe I am. I don't know. We're all assholes. I always say Arsenal fans are dickheads, and I'm probably not any different than that. Should we do results league?
Yeah.
Yep.
So last week I said, 12:30 kickoff. Also, I needed to get them out of the way, just in terms of some of the teams we got to win and lose. I had Leicester beating Chelsea 3-1. It was also about 10 minutes before kickoff, so I didn't really think about it that much. I thought we did it for some reason. I know we missed a week.
I nearly went for Chelsea, and I just thought I'll save them for another day because I'd already picked Leicester to lose. But they were actually the only away team that won this week. I'm annoyed at myself.
Yeah.
There you go. I went, obviously they didn't. Chelsea won 3-0. Leicester are on the skid. Are Leicester any good? Are they bad? Are they terrible? What's going on?
Heavily reliant on their first team players. When they lose Ndidi, when they lose Tielemans, when they lose any of their first 11, they're screwed. They're literally screwed. They have such a thin squad. I think that's
Arsenal's going to make top 4 though, aren't they?
Maybe.
No.
Honestly, maybe. I would now back Conte, honestly. I hate Tottenham, but I would back him.
I'd hate it if that were the case.
It's either United or West Ham. So it's 2-horse race.
You're going to like Arsenal's got no chance. You're like, yeah, definitely Man United.
The top 4 race is going to be really interesting. If Arsenal can keep up what they're doing a bit, Spurs with Conte, if United can sort their shit out, which I worry about if it's an interim manager, and as you say, if Moyes keeps doing what he's doing at West Ham, all of a sudden, there's 4 or 5 teams in the mix.
Yeah.
Really
somehow Wolves are in there as well, and you're like, I thought Wolves were bad this season. Yeah,
Wolves were relegation battle. They won again.
He's going back in my team, Jimenez. He's back.
Yeah, not score goal for love nor money. They've scored 12 goals. They've conceded 12 goals. That's insane, and they're 6.
Yeah, but don't forget, well, after 4 games, they were bottom and they hadn't won a game. We were saying they should have won all 4 of them. Like against Man United, they should not have lost. Against that Arsenal game, I think they didn't win. There were other teams that they should have won against.
But that's why it's funny, because
really
I remember you giving Arsenal, you giving me shit because Arsenal were like near bottom of the table relegation battle, and now we're flying above Man United. You got no chance.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Danny, you went for Newcastle to beat Brentford 2-1, hoping for that new manager kind of rub.
Yeah.
No, 3-3. We just went for
that one.
Yeah. And Mark went for Brighton to beat Aston Villa. Doesn't believe in Gerrard for some strange reason. Also lost.
We'll make a believer of him yet. I like Gerrard. I know he hates United and he's Liverpool and everything, but I think
better than Potter.
Who, Gerrard?
Yeah.
No, I'd take Potter any day over Gerrard.
Yeah, there you go. Brighton.
You said you'd take Potter for Man United. That's
absolutely I would. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But now he's lost a game. He's terrible. So,
yeah.
No. I'm not talking about Potter. I'm talking about Gerrard here.
I know, but that's who he just beat, Potter. So
isn't that absolutely bananas that you take Potter to Man United? Am I crazy or is he crazy?
In terms of if what you said about fans being on board is the reason I think it's crazy to consider Potter, because the moment he loses 2 games in a row, there'll be waves of people saying
that's amazing. I think the opposite. I think he's someone that would give a chance, because if you're getting someone like him in the same way that Newcastle get Howe, if he loses a game or 2, you go.
I feel like if we got Potter, Danny, you would turn on him before I did.
Nah.
When Potter, honestly,
I remember the problem with
even like every manager has like something, and Potter would be, he's not been at this level. Yeah. I even fear Pochettino. If he doesn't win anything with PSG this season, then he'll come as like, yeah, but that's it. But like he could even come as he hasn't won something, like, so
maybe
this is the problem with our fans. Like, just because someone's won something,
it's all fans.
Like
it's the media as well.
Yeah, but just because someone happened to win something a while ago, look at what happened with Van Gaal and other, like, doesn't mean they're going to go.
But
and
it's
win.
Also managing that level. It's like Graham Potter. Has he ever even spoke to someone as good as a Ronaldo or Cavani or a Varane?
Yeah, Ronaldo and Cavani are the future of United. Ronaldo and Cavani are there maybe this season and next at max. This isn't a future. This is a United team that we take those 2 out. It's the youngest squad in the league. This is a United team full of kids who have no confidence, who need coaching, who need.
Can't win anything with kids.
Well, but you need a coach. You need someone who has a tactics, who has a way of playing, who can.
And that's what I mean. Without fans, like I would say, yeah, it like I just don't see how, as soon as he loses 2 games in a row, it would just turn on him. So, yeah,
I think if you've got an Allegri or a Zidane or whoever, the moment he starts losing games and can't articulate why,
maybe everyone who manages Man United after losing a couple of games gets a bad rap. Like, maybe that's just the chalice that is managing Manchester United. It's the same thing with being an England manager. It's like there's certain positions where it's a big job, it's a massive job, and the moment it starts sliding, same thing with Arsenal fans to a certain degree, or being a manager of Arsenal. It's just who your fans are and the expectations. Some of these teams have too high expectations.
I would much rather. I'd rather not care and have anyone as a manager and get someone like a Van der Sar, someone at a director of football level, someone with some experience of the club, some experience of running football in some kind of management position in the United board, because I still think, as I said at the start, whoever you put in there, they're going to struggle because they've got no one above them that knows what else is going on.
Have you got your teams for Results League? I've got one.
I've got one.
Have you? Have you got one, Mark?
I do, but it's a home fixture, and you know I hate picking home fixtures.
I've got a home fixture, so I'll go with my one first. I'm going to go for... do you know what I forgot? Liverpool weren't second last year.
Yeah, Man United were.
So,
Yeah, Man United were.
Yeah, so I get to pick them twice. So I'm going Liverpool to beat Southampton 3-0 at home.
I nearly went that one too.
The only other one I was going to go for was Man United to get thumped by Chelsea. So you get dicked on.
Also,
that's actually my.
Look at you two. You go and all of a sudden you turn coats. Oh,
I love Michael Carrick's one of my favourite players to ever have played for United.
Oh God, are you tearing up, Mark?
But Yeah, end the pod now.
Yeah.
And,
All he
but
needs is Houston Park as the assistant manager, and Mark's it. That's it.
yeah,
Team.
I know him, Ever, and Park, and that's it. That's a true
That's some
United
team, that is.
sideline. Yeah, but I can imagine it's going to be Mike Phelan and Michael Carrick looking gormless next to each other. Like,
It's gonna be
what
so
do we do?
bad.
Like, unless Michael Carrick actually comes on and plays, I don't see us.
Well,
doing-
also Lukaku is apparently back on the bench this week for the Champions League. So if he's back on Saturday, if you've got Reece James and Chilwell playing like they are, you've got Lukaku, you've got no centre backs other than Bailly. I mean, it's a disaster waiting to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, by
Just don't
red
try and play
card.
with him.
Yeah, Bailly red card after 4 minutes.
Go on. What's the score then for Chelsea to beat Man United? What?
Was you going to go with that one, Danny?
No, I've chosen
I'll
a different
change.
one.
All right, I'm going to go Chelsea 2, United 1.
Oof, brave.
Isn't it? One
I
goal.
thought you were going to do a 4-0.
No, I don't, it could be like a Man City. I don't know. I really don't know. I want to see us tomorrow and see how we get on because
I'm going for an away fixture because I need the points. So I'm going to go for Spurs. I think under Conte they're going to be really tough to beat. They weren't brilliant yesterday. I watched that game. They weren't fantastic, but Reguilon came to the rescue.
They went fantastic.
It's annoying. I saw you put him in, Mark, and I so nearly put him in. And then because I had to swap Sanchez out, I put Lloris in my team.
I didn't put anyone in. I thought I did all my stuff before the international break. Turns out I didn't. So then I looked and I had Aubameyang as captain. And I think Danny's either... Is Danny gone?
I think he's frozen. Yeah. Right. So you've gone for Spurs to beat Burnley. We're recapping as you've just frozen. What's the score away from home?
Yeah, 2-0. 2-0.
2-0.
And
Burnley are on fire right now, right? You're going to give them a nil goals.
Conte, defence. That's what he does.
Fair enough.
And I am also going to back that decision with my my fantasy football pick for the All Talk team. And I'm going to take out Tarkowski, who's injured, and I'm putting Reguilon. New Marcos Alonso.
Happiest guy in the world,
Yeah.
he is. Happiest guy in the world.
He was. That was a funny interview with him, actually.
So Danny, you picked Burnley to lose 3 times. You're on
You know when
anti-Burnley.
someone speaks in another language, they speak English in another language. You're like, I bet you they sound as stupid in their own language. That's regular.
You mean like Unai Emery?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're like, all right. Good stuff. That the scores on the doors are. Danny is fuck me, Danny. Oh, this is brutal. Oh, I don't even want to tell anyone. Oh my.
Don't worry, I'm getting 4 points this week, and I'll be back with
It's-
Danny's last with 5 points. Mark's second with 10 points, and I'm leading the way with 13 points.
I'm having a bad time. I keep picking Burnley to lose. That's where I'm going.
Yeah,
wrong.
I was going to say, I'm just looking now. Have you actually got any points with them to lose?
No, of course not.
They're very strong at home and you love an
The
away
thing is-
fixture.
The thing is, I rarely look at who I'm picking to lose. I'm just picking teams to win based on who I need to pick, rather than the actual full. I really should pay more attention.
And that's it, because as you say, you go away to try and get the extra point. And Burnley at home are quite good. So that's the problem.
Have you written mine in, Chris?
I have, yeah. Why?
Because I can't see it on the list.
I can't either, actually.
What did you say?
But just
Oh,
making fun of
sorry,
me.
it's me.
Did you delete? You deleted a
No,
line,
it's
didn't
there,
you?
it's there.
Oh, okay, we're there.
More
Yeah,
2-0 away, yeah.
Spreadsheet
Yeah,
trickery.
Mark. Yeah.
Okay. I believe that all that's left is front 3, back 4.
Mhm.
Unless we've got other football stuff to get on with.
Oh, Champions League draft. We've got Champions
No,
League.
that's next week. We've done that. We did that. I
Are you
checked.
sure?
Yeah, because it's game week 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah,
we
but
get to change after those points.
I bought in Ajax, and they
Yeah.
scored points for me last week. So are we not on another round of changing?
Oh, yes, we are. Are we? Yeah, I guess so. So last time Mark got 235 points. I got 345 points, and Danny got 465 points.
Back in the
Yay.
game. Back
Finally
in the
getting in there.
game.
So that means Mark gets to change first, then it's me, then it's Danny. The full scores are Danny has lost the game, 1,110 points. Very
Close.
low score, very, very low score. It's pathetic, actually, I would say. Mark is middle of the road with 1,215 points, and I am just easing just ahead with 1,225 points. Mark, do you want to change any of the teams, seeing as none of us is prepared for this?
Yeah, I was like, this is not the game to go unprepared
Yeah.
for, isn't it?
This is not
I'm literally
one.
3 goals away from Mark in score-wise, so I'm not too worried.
Look at you. Getting all defensive. Unlike Man United.
I am worried about my Man United, but they're top of the league, top of their group. So
Well, Chelsea were similar last year. Set the manager, won it. So
yeah,
let's
exactly.
hope.
Do you want to
I
change
don't
any? I'm not going
Probably
to
do.
change any. I'll tell you that.
You've got PSG, Milan, Salzburg, and Man City. Milan and Salzburg both going out. Is there anyone you can swap them for? Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. Porto? What are Porto doing?
This is not the game to be like.
Porto look like they're going through at the moment. They've got Atletico Madrid to beat though.
What do you mean? I got Salzburg. They're top of their league.
Are they? Okay,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I thought they'd been having a terrible time.
You checking the other Red Bull? I'm staying the same. This is not good listening. I'm the same.
Yeah, this is terrible listening. Just for the sake of,
I'm thinking of Leipzig. Sorry.
yeah. Well, I'm going to take out Sheriff and I'm going to put in Club Brugge.
Okay. Who are Club Brugge playing?
They're playing. They were playing a bad team. They're playing Leipzig.
Okay, fair enough. That's not a bad shout actually at home.
Thank you.
They have a great Noah Lang is an awesome player they've got. Keep an eye out for him. I am going to stick with mine because they're all going through, I reckon. If Wolfsburg can pick up some points, I should have all 4 through.
Lovely. There you go. Easy peasy.
Until Man United lose to Villarreal and go out, but well.
Yeah, I'm glad we did that. Thanks, Dan. Champions League draft is done. Front 3, back 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will go first. In my back 4 this week is. I'm just going to say it. Racism. Racism is in my back 4. It should always be anyone's back 4. I was going to say glass houses because racism has become somewhat of a news topic within the cricketing world.
Yeah.
We've all seen this. Azim Rafiq, a lot of racism connected to his name because of his anti-Semitic tweets. No, he was also subjected to a lot of racism himself. So, yeah, that was a strange one, isn't it? I think I saw some of his interview and he was crying and he was obviously upset about the whole thing. And then it came out that he had sent tweets a while back in terms of his racism towards the Jewish community. So, apologise for that, Dan, on his behalf. I don't know, just one of those ones where you're like, it's just interesting how no one can do anything right these days, even when you try and complain about it. Like that's why you should not say things that you know could come up in the future against you, right?
Yeah, which is why you say whatever you like on this pod because no one's ever going to find it or hear it.
I know our two listeners. I don't know, but they're gonna.
People will search the archives and code of Twitter to.
Oh my god!
Oh my
But
god!
they will not listen to.
No,
But they will not
famous.
listen to 1 hour, 10 minutes of this podcast.
As long as you
They've been talking,
That's
they've been talking
too
about
much.
results league for about 35 minutes now. There's absolutely no way I'm getting through this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, if I ever make it famous, we're all fucked. You know that. So I'm just gonna.
We're all right. It's you.
No, you're associated with me. You're
Me
associated.
and Mark will be the ones making money because we're the only ones that know what's going on.
Yeah, but the show won't be the same without me. You know this. So
it must go on though, right?
Yeah, look at that. You already get rid of me. Fucking hell. Is this racism again? I was going to make a Jewish joke, but no, we'll keep that out of my mouth. That's what I want to do, and I don't really want to take that too seriously. In my front 3 this week is equality. Equality front 3, always good. That's also a good juxtaposition to racism because we know racism has no equality, except when you just hate everyone, which is a useful trait. The Brits have decided to get rid of their male and female categories for award ceremonies. So the happiest most is Sam Smith. They are very happy. It's because they weren't able to win certain awards, but now they are looking forward to a time where award shows can be reflected of the society we live in. So we all know theys and them. So I'm glad that we can now be reflective of society because when I go outside and I see they and them, I I'm upset that they are unhappy.
But now the risk will be, let's say, the next 10 are won by men.
Well, I mean, I
Will
wasn't
they-
going to say it, Mark. Clearly, you know, throughout however long, men have dominated most things.
This isn't like a physical sporting competition. This isn't where like
No.
there's a
But
potential advantage. This is
I'm
actually,
just thinking this could backfire if the
What's
scenario occurs.
Well,
that
as long as it's not white men, I think it'll be
I
fine.
was just about- it could go down that route in America. won't it?
Yeah. The thing is, if Sam Smith wins for the next 5 years, they're gonna be like, I don't know.
Well, I was going to say that's the opposite. What if one person wins everything all the time? What if
just Ed
Adele
Sheeran
or
wins
Beyonce
every
or
year.
Ed Sheeran decides to be an A or an M? What, they just win everything.
No, do you know what? I'm actually interested. I am genuinely interested because I think, in terms of sports, I do think that the genders or whatever words we want to use for it, there's a reason why they're split. With some of these stuff, we've been talking about like awards for acting and singing, and where there is no real reason for it to be separate because there are no physical benefits to it per se. So if we see an instance where one gender is getting more than the others in terms of this mixed bag of awards here, I'll be interested to see the outcome because I actually genuinely think that more women are going to win it than men, like because it seems to me like there's more women out there in the singing world. So who knows?
Until Ed Sheeran. I've always wanted to see Ed Sheeran versus Adele. I've always wanted to know who the public prefers. So now we'll find out.
Yeah.
I like Ed Sheeran, but I also like Adele. But which one do I like more?
Bye.
For our older listeners who watched Harry Hill.
Yeah.
Great times.
Definitely don't
Real
get them
TV,
fighting. Definitely don't get them fighting. So yeah, there you go. A lot of social stuff in my front three back four, which is a far.
I just hope I care nothing for awards apart from pub quizzes. So if it's reduced the amount of awards by half, that's a lot less knowledge I have to try and remember. So there's a benefit to it.
Yeah, you were pretty poor in that pub quiz the other week.
I didn't even try.
I know you were hungover, but
yeah,
that's a tough quiz.
Plus, when you're late, everyone's got all the open goals. So
yeah, we're all on it.
Look at that.
It's true. If you arrive to the quiz sort of 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, the easy questions have been answered. You're like, I knew that one. Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
Honestly,
that quiz, there was just too many questions.
Go on, who's next?
Oh, it was tough. Tough quiz.
Go on,
I'll go. My back four is poorly thought out hashtags. So the new Spider-Man film's coming out, and they did their promo and did a few hashtags, and we know Dr. Octopus is in it, so they did the hashtag Dr. Ock, which if you recapitalize the words, the letters, sorry, it makes do cock. So people started going, just retweeting Spider-Man with do cock. So they had to redo their tweet, taking that away. So yeah, no one spotted that because they did the capital G and capital O, and then it got taken and put as a do cock.
I'm trying to find one. Wasn't there one that Adele did about someone's anal party?
Yeah, there was something like that. I can't remember what it is now.
I did hashtag anal party.
Yeah, sorry, I've just got it.
Yeah.
I did hashtag anal party and it went straight to Pornhub.
You don't want to do that.
Good thing I'm not at work.
Do you know he's Googled it and it's got the purple link where he's already been on it. It's like you've clicked on this before.
Very good. I hadn't even. I was looking at the hashtag. Doc. I was like, Doc Ock. Yeah, I get it now. Great. Very good.
Yeah.
People are so fun.
Yeah, they didn't really think it through. My front three today is probably the only person in the world who'd ever put him in your front three is Boris Johnson. So I don't know if you've seen his speeches
what
today.
What could he have done?
So no. He's been doing a speech at the CBI, which is like the British industry. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's an awkward clip of him where he loses his fought and he's got his papers and it takes him about 25 seconds to redo his speech and it's a bit cringe. But he starts waffling on about how good Peppa Pig World is and and how Peppa
Oh, I
Pig
did see
worlds are,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like a good export. And I'm just like, I know it, like when you take a step back from politics, like I got caught up in it about a year ago, and because of lockdown, I've sort of removed myself from it a bit. It's actually just quite funny listening to him waffle. I'm like, I know it's going to infuriate people who care a lot about this stuff, but I actually just found the clip quite funny. And I'm like, I know he's like, I find sometimes, is he that clever that he's actually just a comedian, and he knows he knows his buffoonness can actually come across quite funny. And I was like, yeah, his little waffle about Peppa Pig world and how it's quite a good world. There's like no crime, they're strict at school and stuff like that. I found like a little bit funny. Yeah, but if you are deep in the political world and you've got your side, maybe don't watch it, because you might start thinking, hang on, this guy's meant to run a country. But I find as a clip itself, it can be a bit funny.
I don't think that likes people making fun of his leader.
To be fair to him, it's never changed. I mean, he's always been buffoon. He's always been an idiot, and that's how he got hired. So, you know.
Yeah, I just find he's waffling like hilarious. Like when he went to China and told them that we invented ping pong, and we invented it in a room and it was called Whiff Waff. And it turns out he just made the entire story up. You're just like, it's just funny. But yeah, it's sad if you think
if you
this
care
guy,
about the country,
yeah, like, but just try to remove that from this.
Yes. Who cares if it's fine.
Great. All right, in my back four this week, unfortunately, I have to bring it back to football. But it was news that was out there. The Premier League.
Football for an hour.
I know, but the Premier League are in my back four
because Ollie's gone.
No.
Because Eddie Howe's been hired.
No, because did you see this week the new international TV deal that was struck with NBC Sports?
We did.
So there was a £2 billion 6-year deal, the biggest sports and TV deal in history with NBC Sports for the Premier League. Now the reason the Premier League in my back four is because they've been really smart. So I won't go, obviously there's been all the nonsense with the the director leaving, basically being pushed out by all the heads of the clubs because they weren't happy with him and the Saudi takeover and whatever. But now there's sort of all of a sudden they're letting this go through. The thing that everyone's missed is that the domestic TV rights, the thing we've always had going for us with Sky, with BT, is that they're split evenly across the league. So the reason the likes of the Watfords and Norwiches of the world can still compete and buy players and compete in the Premier League, sort of, is because they've got some decent money. But what the top clubs saw a few years back is, hold on a minute, the likes of Sky, the likes of BT and all that, they're waning, they're struggling, particularly now with COVID. We think all the money's in international distribution rights. So actually, I don't know if you know this, but the international distribution rights are not distributed evenly across the league at all. In fact, the top 6 get 50% of all of the international rights, of which they've just signed a £2 billion deal. So all of a sudden, you look at Spain, you look at Italy, you look at all these countries that have screwed their league because you give all the money to either Barcelona or Real Madrid or whatever. And here we are for years going, well, it's all good because we've got an even playing field and it's fair. Before you know it, the next 5-10 years, when they've got billion deals with Saudi Arabia, with Asia, with China, with Brazil, with North America, and all that money's flowing into the league, and the likes of the £1 billion from BT and Sky, which used to sound big, isn't, all of a sudden, all the big clubs are going to be getting all the money and all the little clubs are not. And that is very, very worrying because they've signed a 6-year deal. And that is a long deal. They've never signed more than a 3-year deal in the Premier League because they like to keep it competitive. But signed a 6-year deal.
So is it named to the clubs, though? To the top 6 clubs?
I was going to say, is that why Man United got rid of Solskjaer?
Well, that is part. So yeah, you talk about Solskjaer. I know we talk about it a lot, but yeah, no, it's the top 6, the teams that finished in the top 6. But the problem with that
slightly better than other leagues, which are like Real Madrid and Barca will get it regardless of where they finish.
Yeah, it's slightly better, but it's still no good for teams that the top 6 is becoming the Chelseas, the Liverpools, the Man Cities, the Spurs, and whatever of the world are going to pretty regularly be up there.
And they already are, but they already are. It just builds that berth a little bit wider, I guess.
Yeah. I thought the Premier League and UEFA were the heroes when the Super League women was starting up and how evil the clubs were. And the poor Premier League, which is like the people's league, It's,
But it's gone very
Oh.
under the radar. No one's talking about it. But for me, I look at that deal and I think that is a bit dangerous because, yeah, there is a chance that a Villa could finish sixth. Great. One season, they might get a bit more money. But we're talking look over the last 10 years, generally it's the same kind of teams that are going to be earning all the money, and that chasm's going to get bigger and bigger every year. And before we know it, we'll be back to where we were a few years back.
It's already that way for the most part. I mean, what else you can do?
But
to be honest, I think if you've got a league where you've got a big six, it's a bit like when Newcastle now potentially wanted to be a big club, and you're like, well, that would make it like a big seven, and you're like, at some point you don't need that many big teams. Like, I think 6 is a good number because two won't make it into the Champions League each year. It's just, yeah,
and I think it's been rather complimentary to some of the teams that are still considered a big six.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
Are Leicester in that? Are you counting Leicester in the 6? No.
I actually don't know. I actually know who you're referring to outside of 3 or 4 teams. Like,
well, traditionally it's
I think there's already 8. I think there's already 8
City and Tottenham.
I think the point here is there's probably 7 or 8 big teams that could all finish in the top 6. There's the likes of Newcastle and others who could probably come along and start competing, the Villas and the Evertons of the world if they got their shit together. So you could start having 10, 11, 12 really competitive teams, which is kind of what you want for a really good league. But all of a sudden, what might start happening over the next few years is the chasm between the 6 that start finishing more regularly at the top and there's that middle ground that we're catching up. That's going to change, and the Premier League know this, and the big clubs who've got these deals over the line, who made sure that the top 6 are going to get more money out of it, they knew this, and they don't like the Newcastles of the world coming and taking their pie. So
it could also be, it might not be that bad because you see like the race to not get in the Europa League spots. That might become a thing of the past. Do you remember when Arsenal and Man United had that season? They were both like 7th. It felt like they were trying to lose matches because it's like, oh, next year will be better if we're not in the Europa League. So maybe there could be some benefit to it.
All right, Dan, let's get off football. What's your front three?
My front three, I mentioned it to you guys earlier, but we were off air, is the metaverse, the collective metaverse, or in fact, just gaming and the future of gaming. But I mentioned to you guys today, I sold my first bit of virtual land today. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I made actual money selling something that doesn't exist to I don't know who, someone in America probably, some kid who's just wants to buy some land in a digital game. But the reason I like it, I like the whole Facebook metaverse thing, nonsense, all of that, whatever, fine. But the thing I really like is the development of gaming and where it's going. And you can say what you like about NFTs, about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, whatever you like. The gaming industry is...
I can say a lot about those things.
But the gaming industry is primed for that. It is perfect for that world because it's an opportunity to, rather than a central company owning a game and you spend a fortune on Candy Crush or on FIFA buying your cards, and where's that money going? It's just going to a company. Instead, all of a sudden, they're building games where all that money you're paying can start paying you back because you're buying stuff that you own that's tokenized. They can start earning you back money. And there's a whole world of pay to earn that's coming with gaming, which is just fascinating. And I think the next 2 or 3 years, gaming as we know it is going to just change drastically. And I'm really excited for it because, well, we like gaming. We've always been into our consoles and gaming, probably not like the youth of today. And if it was then what it is now, I'd like to think we'd have made a lot of money. But yeah, fair play.
If you start saying to your wife that you've been playing FIFA all day and she doesn't understand why you're not going to work. I guess
but if you're earning more money by doing that than going to work, is she going to be that bothered?
I don't know. I don't live with your wife.
Fair enough. Well, to be fair, when I showed her the property that I sold for a few $100s, and she just looked at me like, "You're such a weird." Oh, I told her I sold some property, and she looked at me like, "You're such a geek. What is wrong with you?" And I said, "I sold it for a few $100s." She was like, "Okay, what are we selling more? What's going on?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, now you're interested."
You're midst off of this. You say, "And here's the prenup." There you go. I just found that hashtag. It was actually Susan Boyle's hashtag. She released an album in 2012, and the hashtag was Susan Album Party. Do you get it?
Yeah.
For those that don't get it, it hashtag to Sue's anal bum party.
That is great.
No one saw that. Imagine it's Susan Boyle. Yeah, she was like, nope, that's correct.
Anyway, that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, lovely. Right, we shall see you next week, maybe not, after some Champions League and more football. Right, see you next week.